Okay, get ready for this one. Today, we've got one of the wildest and honestly, one of the funniest true travel stories I think I've ever heard. You are not going to believe where this story goes, so let's just jump right in. So let me just start with this question for you. How is it possible for your teeth to beat you home from vacation? I mean, seriously, think about that. It sounds completely made up, right? Well, it's not. And today, we're going to break down exactly how this crazy thing actually happened. All right, so our story begins with a trip. A trip that, like so many great stories, takes a really unexpected turn. And for one poor traveler, it meant losing something, well, something pretty important. So, picture this. We're in the incredible Zhangjiajie mountains in China. You might have seen them, they were the inspiration for the mountains in the movie Avatar. A grandfather is there on what's called a filial piety tour, which is basically a trip that kids often gift to their parents. It's a super popular spot and everything seems to be going just fine. Now, once the tour is over, the whole group piles onto a bus for a long, and I mean long, 5-hour drive to the main airport in a city called Changsha. 5 hours. Now, you gotta remember that number because that long bus ride, it is the absolute key to this entire bizarre story. So somewhere on that 5-hour ride, the grandfather gets that horrible, sinking feeling that every single traveler has felt before. You know the one. You pat your pockets, you check your bag, and something is just gone. But it's not his wallet, it's not his passport, it's his dentures. His teeth are missing. So after a bit of a frantic search, the tour guide makes a quick phone call. And yep, the news is not good. The dentures are confirmed to be sitting right back at the restaurant where the group had lunch, all the way back in Zhangjiajie. And since the bus is already hours down the road, there's just no way they can turn back for them. So the grandfather is now heading to an international airport without his teeth. But hey, the tour guide is a quick thinker and comes up with a solution. A solution that, completely by accident, kicks off a race. An international race between a man and his own set of teeth. And, you know, on the surface, the guide's plan is actually pretty brilliant. It makes sense, it's efficient, and it seems like it's going to solve the whole problem pretty easily. It's a perfect example of thinking on your feet. That is, until you start looking at the travel schedules. Okay, so let's break down this genius plan. Step 1, they already know the dentures are safe at the restaurant. Done. Step 2, the guide has a friend, a colleague, who just so happens to be flying to Korea from the local airport in Zhangjiajie, which is way, way closer. Step 3, that colleague will just grab the dentures and ship them to the grandfather's home address as soon as they land. See? Simple. Elegant. What could possibly go wrong? This is where the race really begins. So while the grandfather is chugging along on that 5-hour bus ride, his dentures are taking a massive shortcut. They get to the local airport, they get on an earlier flight, and they actually land in Korea while their owner is still on a bus in China, probably hours away from even getting to his airport. And just like that, it's official. The dentures have won. They crossed the finish line. They successfully completed their international journey, probably cleared customs, and were safely in Korea. All while the grandfather was likely just pulling up to the airport to start his own trip home. But the story is far from over, because as the dentures were celebrating their victory, their arrival in Korea was about to kick off a whole new kind of drama, all thanks to one very mysterious package. So let's go back to the family home in Korea. The grandfather's wife is just going about her day, totally oblivious to the dental drama that's been happening overseas. She knows her husband is still on vacation, not due back for a little while yet. And then the doorbell rings. It's a package delivery. Okay, so try to put yourself in her shoes for a second. She gets this small, very light box. It's addressed to her husband. But her husband is in China. He is not supposed to be home yet. She's not expecting anything to be delivered. What on earth could be in this box? She's holding this little mystery box from China. I mean, her mind must have been racing, right? Is it some kind of souvenir he sent home early? A gift from someone? It's too light to be anything really significant. So she opens it up, probably just expecting some little trinket. And inside, she finds her husband's teeth, just a set of dentures sitting in a box. And in this moment of pure, unfiltered shock and confusion, she apparently yells out this incredible line. "Oh, my husband, how is it that only your dentures have returned?" For a terrifying second, she must have thought something absolutely horrible had happened, and this was all that was left. So naturally, this moment of terror leads to absolute panic. which is then followed by what I have to believe is one of the most hilarious family reunions of all time. So the grandmother is just standing there in a state of total shock, holding this box of teeth. Her first move, of course, is to call her husband to figure out what is going on. But as we know, he's on a plane, flying home from China. His phone is off, he is completely 100% unreachable, leaving her all alone with this bizarre mystery. So in a total panic, her next call is to the travel agency that booked the whole trip. And can you just imagine being the person who picked up that phone call? But finally, after a few minutes of frantic explaining, the agency pieces it all together and tells her the whole weird story. The lost dentures, the helpful colleague, the separate flights. The mystery is solved. And so, a little while later, when the grandfather finally walked through his front door, he was met by his wife and his very well-traveled dentures. I can only imagine the mix of relief and laughter that must have happened once the shock finally wore off. It ended up being a very happy and definitely a very memorable family reunion. This whole thing just makes me wonder, what's the most valuable or the weirdest thing that you've ever lost on a trip? And the real question is, did it somehow manage to find its way home before you did? Thanks so much for tuning in.